Another day, another beautiful soul. With me today is Khrey, and Khrey is a person, in short, who is gonna help you when you're at a point where you feel like you're stuck. You feel like you've lost your peace. You feel disconnected. You feel like the answers seem to get farther and farther and farther from you. And you feel like you're out of sync with who you are. And in that moment, you're like, I don't know. Where did I go? Who is this person? And so we're going to be talking about all things inner peace. We're going to talk about all things intuition. We're going to talk about all things releasing blockages so that you can find a route back to you. The person you know, the person you love, the person that lights you up, and the person that is excited for what's coming. That's in short what it is. As you can see her screen, she's certified in a million things. I can't begin to tell you how many things. So she has made it her point to use her life to study all modalities there is. So if you're thinking, I don't know which modality to use, here is someone who has a encyclopedia of modalities, all in her head and body, and a toolbox that is bigger than most people I have seen, because I haven't seen someone who has as many things as 10 modalities. Why she has 10 modalities, that's an answer for another day. But today I'm excited to bring Khrey on because if you have tried to heal and you haven't healed, maybe you're going to find that she has all of the tools and maybe your tool is in here. And hopefully by the time we're done, we'll go through all of it and kind of give you an idea. Is this the person who's going to help you with your healing journey, with your journey to your most authentic self? That is something you have to feel on the other side. Are you feeling a full body? Yes. Is this the person for you? Are you ready to go next? Basically, that's what we're going to do. At whatever point you decide to hop off, my ask is simple. Pause and think, in whose hands would this information be life altering? And simply get the link and drop it in someone's private space and say, I listened to this episode and I thought about you. And hopefully that's how we're going to transport this message to the souls that are crying for Khrey's help. Because if there wasn't anyone crying in the world, Khrey would not exist. Khrey, welcome to the show. I am honored that you're my guest today.
Thank you so much, Prima, for having me. That was such a lovely, intentional, and thoughtful introduction. So I really appreciate that.
As I went on round and round and round, what do you wish we had added? What could we add to sum it up as like the real introduction of what you do and why it's different?
I believe most of us in this world have its own purpose.
Mm,
And that purpose is to live the fullest of joy.
mm,
And I derive that from Abram Hicks, how we are all here a vibrational being who's living, a spiritual being who's living in a human experience.
mm,
What I do is I guide clients to really connect deeply into that essence within them, to
mm,
understand those parts of who they are that they felt or may have rejected, and
mm,
remember who they truly are, to feel unstuck, to untether those inauthentic layers, to fully express themselves in this present time. And by combining and also intersecting science and spirituality, I help clients to bridge the gap with the 3D dimensional perception of life to the 5D dimensional aspects of our well being. That's what I basically create and guide
mm.
clients to empower who they truly are and really express that power within.
So the beautiful person listening now that is stuck in 3D, not stuck, but they just really 3D, practical facts, figures, show me all of those things. That is probably going, wow, I wonder what this spirituality and these are all about. What is happening in their life to show them that it's time to go the next layer, that it's time to start peeling off masks, that it's time to stop hustling and grinding and step into the surrender, the instincts, the flow, and all of the beautiful things that come with this journey. Like what needs to be happening in their life for them to go, oh, maybe it's time to really go deep and start healing
Absolutely.
and start stepping into the power that I have that I even don't know that I have. The woman who is now trying to be a boss babe and make money and grind and hustle, what can they begin to look at to go, oh, wow, I didn't know this. I guess I need to go this other way. Because I find that this other way is really beautiful and something people need to like experience themselves.
That's a really good question. One of the things that I actually guide my clients is to really ask themselves, what has been working well for you so far that makes you feel
Mm,
fully connected to the fullest of you? Do you feel fulfilled living day by day? Do you feel at peace day by day?
mm,
Do you practice peace or do you practice mostly stress? Do you constantly conform in the ways that you overcompensate who you truly are within? Or do you constantly people please in order to be be part of the societal standards of
mm.
living? So really ask yourself, what has been working well in your life so far that you feel mostly your truest self? And if there are parts or gaps in between that feels inauthentic, that you feel like you're putting on a mask for so long to perform, that leads you to either burnout, to feeling discontent, dissatisfied, or feeling lost at any phase of your journey, whether you're in your most successful boss babe or business, there are some point you will have to reevaluate who you are in the process of reaching your goals or desires. There are certain parts of yourself that has to go through this, what I call ego death, where you
Mm.
have to reevaluate who you are in the becoming, in the process of getting to where you are.
I love what you're saying there because the body knows what alignment is. Your
Mm-hmm.
soul knows what authentic is and what it's not. And even if you didn't know you're authentic and you're not, your body will tell you through burnout,
Yes.
through discomfort, through disappointment, through getting lost, through feeling unclear, through feeling stuck. All these feelings of contraction is your body saying, no, this is not your divine self. This is not your highest version. And we're giving you a signal that you need to come back to yourself. That's how I interpret it. Like your body knows your truest version and your highest version, and that divine you that should be or that needs to be. And everything less than that is going to give you a feeling that you don't want so you can step up. Would you think that's what's your truth around that?
I love how you emphasize the body. It's very
Mm,
somatic at the same time.
mm,
There's
mm,
this book called Body Keeps Score. So
mm,
at a young age, and this is according to Dr. Gabor Mate, while we were at our mom's womb, we're already being conditioned, being,
mm,
programmed to who we are supposed to be. And all of those things that we've learned from age 0 to 7, our brain is like sponge, so we absorb the ways that our caretaker, that they only know how to raise us. So
mm,
all of these conditional beliefs have shape shifted us to who we are as a functional being and as an adult. So sometimes, you reach a stage or a point of your life, I feel like I am living somebody else's dream, or
mm,
I feel like I am just conforming to just be accepted, and the body, it will shut down. Say for example, a client of mine who for 10 years working in this company where she's a leader, she's successful at her field. However, she had hid that she wasn't a nurse to her family because her family have told her to become a nurse, finish nursing school, but she's working on a different field to hide the fact that she's not a nurse. There's
mm,
deep rooted shame because of the belief that the only way to success is for you to be in the medical field. However, she
mm,
pivoted because she didn't feel connected to it. And we had to work through those parts of her that she rejected, that she felt inauthentic, to the point that her body was running 100 miles per hour to people please, that
mm,
she even goes overtime at her work because she feels like she won't be accepted. She's not good enough. So it's a very unconscious way of operational being, to put a mask, put a facade to
mm,
consistently please that fact or that conditioning underneath. Which brings me back to someone, the body keeps score. She
mm,
went to this breakdown that she's like, I'm tired. I just don't know how. I don't know why I'm still functioning. I've been functioning as a high anxious person at my work, but I achieved all of this success, this accolades, but I can't receive it. I can't fully
Mm.
accept it. It's because she's not feeling true to herself and her desires. She feels like she had to put a mask to be accepted and to be deemed as worthy.
That's really good. By now, the person listening needs to. I really hope that by now you can see how this work is or is not for you. Do you feel like you're pretending? Do you feel like you're tiptoeing around your
Yeah.
own life? I remember feeling like that when I was in a job, partly because my dad knew three things as success. You either
Mm-hmm.
were a doctor, you were a lawyer, you were
Mm-hmm.
an engineer, or. And so
Mm-hmm.
growing up, I knew those were my choices. And I knew I wanted to do business because my mom was a business person, but I didn't know that I was allowed to. And so I went in this job and I was really living my dad's life. And one day I was like, no, and I left. But if I hadn't left, I'd probably be there, top CEO, and very miserable. So I can really relate to what you're saying because I was in that job and every day I was like checked out. And I did that job for my dad. And so if I had done it for years and years and years, I probably would have been the most unhappy person on the planet. But somehow I got myself to leave the job, but I don't know how. It was by luck or something. Sometimes God says, just move. Like, just, I don't know, just move and don't allow yourself to be more miserable. So for me, I think somehow it was by luck that I left that job because I didn't have the consciousness to. But if I had continued on the corporate ladder, I would have been the most miserable person alive. So are you doing something that society or your parents or your spouse has told you needs to be done? Like, is the career you're in your career? Are you married because you found the person, or are you married because your mother said they wanted children? Are you running your business because you truly feel called to do the business, or are you running the business because everybody is running a business? You know, whatever you're doing, like, are you doing it from a place of instinct, or are you doing it from a place of, oh, she has that click funnels, I'm going to buy it as well. She has that dress, I'm going to buy it. Like, where are you making your decisions from? Are you buying your next car because somebody else bought a better car? Like, I think that's how you can begin to tell if you're in a place of peace, if you're in a place of being connected, if you're in a place of surrender, if you are really moving closer and closer and closer to your higher self. I think this is like a place where you are getting answers from within and not from outside. Is that fair enough, Khrey? Like, is that the work?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely, absolutely. You really created a lot of good points there.
Mm,
And I want to bring into this two concepts. So we all
mm,
have these core commitments. The
mm,
core commitments are what you've just said. Like our parents told us to be this way, or the society told us that if you go on this route, it's successful, or this
mm,
whole that paradigm of thinking of what it's supposed to be like to live in a successful life. And then
mm,
there's this what I call core essence. Our core essence is inherently available within us. These are the authentic parts of us that hasn't
mm,
been fully, if I would put it in the term, awakened or hasn't fully remembered because we're
mm,
still functioning on those inauthentic layers that was taught onto us that that's how it's supposed to be. But what if you dive deep into understanding who you are truly and accept those parts of you that you unconsciously committed to rejecting to because like you mentioned this it's either are we functioning from a place of fear or are we functioning from a place of love, and most of the time why people feel stuck is the fear of being judged to even going after what they truly want. And most of the
mm,
time, souls have a hard time understanding what they want because for the longest time, they have lived and functioned from what people think that they're supposed to be, that they're
mm,
supposed to function, they're supposed to show up in the society. So there's
mm,
a big challenge and a gap to understand that. And with inauthentically, like those inauthentic parts of you
mm,
with subconscious reprogramming, with doing inner work. I call it inner size because
mm,
you practically inner size inside out. So you
Mm.
understand the deeper parts of you that's yearning to be loved, to be nourished, to be understood, to be seen, that it is okay if you're having this fear of judgment. It's okay that if you're feeling stuck, it's just an opportunity for you to really, well, what are the other possibilities in life that I haven't tapped in yet? I have been
Mm.
living in this box. What if I could live outside the box? The peace that you can create out of that is so expansive. And
Mm.
through different ways of really shape shifting the mind, the body, and the spirit, and integrate that together, it will lead you towards really trusting yourself that you can absolutely create the reality in your own terms, in your most authentic way.
I love that you're saying, what's the next version of you? Because there's a saying, I don't know who's saying it is, that if you're not growing, you're dying. And really,
Mm,
this work is, what is your next evolution? What does that
mhm,
look like? For me, it was the corporate girl to the entrepreneur. And then it was the bricks and mortar girl to the online girl. And then it
mhm,
was the make 100K a year to now this girl who is stepping into the intuition and the gifts and serving and honoring who I am as a divine soul. So what is your next evolution? Wherever you
mhm,
are is okay, but like, what is the next phase of your life? Because this phase of my life came after I got married. I realized that I wouldn't be the 10K girl who was trying to be a boss babe. Like, that wasn't the version of me that I wanted in this marriage. What I wanted in this marriage was someone that was connected to her heart, to her spirit, to her
mhm,
intuition, someone that was highly regulated and highly spiritual and could build from that place as a wife and as someone who will become a mother. So, like, what is the next evolution that you want for yourself? And
mhm,
hopefully, at the end of this, you will kind of see how that comes to life. Khrey, I wouldn't be comfortable going further without a connection to your tissue. So I would wonder if you would be willing to go back and share with us the Khrey that didn't have all these titles. What was she like and what got her here?
Thank you for asking that. As I love that question so much because that's where it all started.
Mm,
I used to be the lady who is so afraid of taking risk, who's so
mm,
afraid going against the grain. And until to the point, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. It all started with that disease that you are actually practically internally killing your own cells. So, this disease is basically, it's like if you think about a car, it's running 100 miles per hour by just sitting down. And
mm,
everything in my body was so high, heart rate, agitated, unconsciously anxious. I am
mm.
a walking ticking bomb, just to picture you. That's basically me. So I glamorized functioning in a hustle and bustle, go and go, because if I sit still, I would explode. So that was my body. And this is this version that I am here right now. Completely out. It's completely different. And I would lose weight, 35 pounds a month without doing. And my mind is running and running. And it came to this point where I was in denial and really understood that I think the more I tried to control the idea of what is supposed to be healthy, the
Mm,
more that I actually get away from it or I go further from it. Until
mm,
2017, I had my radiation therapy. And that's where I had this epiphany and moment with God that I said, God, I surrender. I surrender. I'm tired. I'm tired of pushing and pushing. I'm tired of really saying that I'm okay, even though I'm not. Because there's this stigma that if I show weakness, I'm not
mm,
strong. So I finally said yes to the radiation therapy. And in that day, I devoted myself that in this moment, after this day, I will love myself unconditionally, No matter what it takes, I just decided that this is the day that I will start loving myself again. It's like a baby who was in a space, who was so used to in a chaotic or very just stressful environment, to now starting all over again to really understanding what love means for me. So first year, my goal was as a nursing, as a nurse, I had to approach things holistically. I approached that concept. I said, I don't know myself anymore. My body was just completely disarray. So it's the goal is to regulate the nervous system. And I discovered throughout the process, every year, I approach it physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional. And every time I push myself a little inch deeper to see what's the possibility, how can I try? What do I have to lose? I've already tried everything, but I guess I didn't, since I'm seeing my capacity. The more I try, the more I take risks, the more I actually see things that are actually, whoa, this is working. So
Mm,
went to the gym, and then I found this book called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle.
mm,
It was this book that really helped me meditate. And through meditation, I was able to become aware of the awareness, and I witnessed my thoughts. And then that I trained my mind to open myself to, what am I receiving? What am I thinking? So every year was a rediscovery of loving myself again. And I met multiple mentors, shamanic practitioners. I've discovered so many holistic modalities. I got so excited. Every holistic modality that I get to experience was another step for me to love my body, to regulate my nervous system, and heal those parts of me that I didn't know was actually being, or my software that is functioning, or the way that I show up in the world.
mm,
Until 3 years later, I'm going to skip the whole part because it's a whole lot of episode. Until like a couple of years later, I was called to share my story. In our culture as a Filipina, there's a huge stigma when it comes to mental health, and also when it comes to going out of route with the religious belief system. And I had this like inkling calling that I want to talk about this. I want to talk about how to heal generational trauma, how to heal your repression, your repressed emotions, because we're so used to just go and go. And I wanted to have a podcast. I just want to share my story so
mm,
someone could hear it out, and see that there's abundance of resources for you to utilize to even connect with yourself a little inch deeper. That's all I ask for people. Because every
mm,
time I feel that goodness within, I'm like, there's so much peace out there that we haven't even tapped in. I want to share this. So until I this Reiki master who reached out to me and wanted to be part of my show, and she talked about Reiki. I was like, okay, all of my researches about body, about regulating my nervous system, in 2 years, I was able to really come to a neutral state of my hormone balance by just really focusing on loving myself, by adding meditation, adding exercise, adding shamanic practices, adding all this meditation. So this Reiki master said, energy, everything is energy. And if you think about it, emotion is energy in motion. And there's this a huge aha moment for me. That was it. I have been repressing my emotion, my small traumas, big traumas for the longest time. And now I realize everything is energy. It's all incapacitated in one. Like, why didn't
mm,
I think about that? I was running a very 2% battery in a world where it requires you to be 100%. And everything inside my body were all trauma response or stressors. And she invited me to get certified. I had to meditate on that one. Until that day, the rest is history. When I said yes to it, it took me like a month to really surrender. And I knew it was a calling. And then I tried it to myself. And then I was like, let me try it to my family. My family had huge result. in just one session. So I had another meditation. It's like a download where,
Mm.
what if I could help more people on this? So that's where it all started. And then I had, as an avid learner, I love learning new things. When I get to discover this, what if I could add more? Because I want to help more people in their mind, because there's something that we could unlock there
Mm.
subconsciously. And then I learned hypnotherapy. And then what if we could create some practical ways? Because some people they don't have me all the time. So
Mhm.
I learned emotional freedom technique. It's a tapping technique. It practically helps someone to subconsciously program themselves.
Mm.
And now I'm here and just like showing everybody that it is possible to come back. Before, I used to feel anxious when I hit like dips and lows of just challenges. Now it's more of like, this is a neutral energetic state. How will I interpret this in my belief system or through my lens? And it's such an abundant space to connect to my authentic core, where, okay, is this something that is aligned to who I am if I said yes to this? Or will this derail me from consistently grounding myself to fulfilling those authentic core essence? And
Mm.
that's where we are, helping more people to feel and be who they are in the process of healing.
You said something like a little inch deeper. Is that your podcast name?
No, it's actually Holly Khrey, your dose of holistic healing.
What's your podcast again?
Holly Khrey, your dose of holistic healing.
I wonder if I would call it this
And
a little inch deeper with Khrey.
oh yeah.
I would definitely call this something. Maybe it's a book, but it's something. Like you said it, and I
Oh,
was like, wow,
you
that's
just
a good podcast. A little inch deeper. That's something. Definitely. I don't know what it is, but it's some. Maybe it's a book. I don't know.
you downloaded something.
I don't know. I don't use those words because I don't know my gifts like to the dot. So I don't want to be assuming things. But the question I have for you is, when do you stop adding modalities to your head? Like right now you have
Mm,
enough modalities, but if I am
mhm.
honest, I feel like you're about to master or you're about to certify for something else and something else and something else. What
That's a
is
good
what should
question.
I call that? Like when do you stop? When is enough, Khrey?
Mm, that's a really good question. I'll put it into this context that we're ever evolving beings. I see these modalities as an options. If you started peeling off the layers, the inauthentic layers of who you are, you started trusting yourself. You started tapping into your intuitions. So with
Mm,
your intuition, it's your inner guide to choose, right? You become aware of your sense of free will. All of these modalities are a stepping stone, like I mentioned earlier, to an inch deeper for you to connect with yourself. So
mm,
I have this inkling trust to anybody who's feeling called to change by starting something small that they feel connected with. The
mm,
whole point of this modalities, all of this, is really finding and tapping into your connection, something that feels so aligned to you. Because when I started, it was just the meditation, and the meditation created a web of knowledge for me to explore, because there's so
mm,
many things that we can explore in this lifetime. So I would invite someone to open yourself. Just be open, and when you open yourself, you allow different kinds of modalities. And if that one modality has been working well for you, stick
mm,
to it. Stick to it. In that aspect, you won't even have to say, oh, when do I stop? Because till this day, I still utilize sometimes EFT. Intuitively, I feel called to do more hypnosis on myself. So
Mm,
there's every phase of your journey, there will be, I would call the glass ceiling of, like invisible glass ceiling that you would hit on your
mm.
growth. And these modalities are like menus. It's like apps in your phone where you could utilize intuitively that you can really open yourself with.
There is something called shiny objects in 3D in the world where I have thrived. And I'm wondering if there is something like shiny objects in the spiritual world as well. Is there? I don't know.
Mm.
Is it shiny objects, or is it you just called for more and more tools because that's the
Mm.
expansiveness of the gift on your heart?
So I would bring into my personal experience.
Mm,
Ever since I really go deep into the energetics, the healing, I was
mm,
able to unlock gifts, innate gifts. And even with my clients, they were able to see parts of them that they didn't know they could actually do.
mm,
Some was able to open a business because they were able to see their truest self. Some were able to pursue creative projects that they didn't know they're really good at. And what I discovered about myself is that I have this profound connection with the divine. And the more that I connect with the spiritual essence of me, the more it actually wants to live the human experience. And I think with evolution, like you said, the moment you stop living is the moment you stop really seeing life. So
mm,
for me, in living, you want to open yourself to experience the fullest of you. And in rediscovering who that is by exploration,
mm,
going deeper. And sometimes when I meditate, I've went to the seen and unseen realms. And through Reiki, this is going to be esoteric. I've tapped into that space where I really connect to something peaceful, the divine consciousness. And every day I go into that connection to really
mhm,
focus on a heart-centered space because that's my desire. As I
mm,
grow, my heart expands. And as my heart expands, the more that I get connected with the divine. And I want to bring in as well to for people who have that, who are in entrepreneurs. In entrepreneurship, there's a lot of, ebbs and flow. And
mm,
the more you're connected to yourself, the easier for you to tread through life and grounding with your authentic essence. It's easy to open and tap into your innate gifts.
mm. I love what you're saying because I think the gift of discernment is a very, very big one.
Mm-hmm.
And unless
Mm-hmm.
you're connected, you won't be able to discern. And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
discernment is a very, very beautiful thing to have because the
Yeah.
world can be less chaotic when you have discernment. I'm
Yeah.
wondering, I'm wondering if we can jump into all right, Khrey, I get it now. So what's my step 1 to 5 or 6 of this? Like, how does this work? If someone came to you and they
Mm-hmm.
were like, I don't know, but I'm always hungry or whatever the issue is, or my
Mm-hmm.
career is plateaued, or I am in a job and I don't know if I can start a business and I'd like to
Mm-hmm.
navigate my abilities and skills and gift to see if I have that
Mm-hmm.
talent or whatever that gift. What is kind of the process of taking me from where I am to wherever I am
Mm-hmm.
trying to get in your world?
Mm-hmm. That's a really good question. So I approach this framework I call triple A. So
Mm,
first A is really awareness. Are you fully aware of where you are, body, mind, and spirit? The second A is acknowledgement. Are you fully in tune with your emotions? Are you acknowledging your emotions? Or are you bypassing them? Or are you constantly avoiding them? Or are you constantly repressing them? And the third A is acceptance. Are you fully accepting without any judgment, or at least accepting that, yes, I want change, or yes, I'm ready to seek support, or yes, I want to try something else other than this job, or yes, I want to open a business page just to really explore it.
mhm,
So I want to bring someone there. It's so simple, yet it takes a lot of internal muscle to really see where someone is. Someone could say, "Oh, I know where I'm at." But have you fully acknowledged the emotional energy that you are actually charging your awareness? Or are you fully accepting the reality that you're in, or you're still unconsciously performing to be accepted and to be
Mm.
in that space still? So that's the first question. I mean, first framework that I would have or bring someone. And then really ask your question. If you ever, this is going to be a little bit deeper, but an inch deeper to take what resonates and leave what doesn't. I would ask you to, if you would go all the way at the age of 80 years old,
Mm.
and then look back in your life, would you say you've lived your life? Would you say you didn't regret a thing in your
Mm.
life? And how would that life look like right now if all of these obstacles that you feel right now is not in front of you?
Mm.
How would you say that was the best 30 or a decade day of my life, or a decade year of my life? How would you say it is so fulfilling? How would you say it is so peaceful? So
Mm.
really bringing in the imagination, the visualization of fully accepting where you are, that, whoa, yeah, I actually haven't really explored other things that I have been wanting to do, or I have been playing small, or I haven't been really fully saying, this is who I am as an entrepreneur, or I haven't fully
Mm.
embodied that love in me. I'm still trying to be seen, to be loved. I'm still trying to people please, to be accepted. I'm still trying to perform, to prove that I am worthy. So
Mm.
come into that awareness, and then that's where the whole magic and the mystery of, you'll be guided by your inner guide to be able to resolve, or at least, start one step, which is seeking for support. I think one of the things that I also witness is that people have a hard time asking for support and help.
Mm.
So I hope that helps in that context.
It does help, but like in the world of spirituality, I find that there's a lot of people, a lot of experts, a lot of modalities. And so even though someone may want to ask for help, I think
Mm,
it can be hard because you don't really know who is who.
mm,
And God help you
mm.
if you're disconnected from your intuition. I think it can be harder because this spirituality needs you to be connected because not
Right,
every expert is for you. And so
right.
give me a little bit about how can I connect more to my intuition or gut so that I can
Mhm,
find the right help. Because sometimes the
mhm.
hesitation is resistance to I don't know who is good for me and who
Right,
is no.
right.
And sometimes it's even I don't know what I want. There's so many people who don't know
100%.
what they want. And so
Yes.
give me a little bit of that clarity of getting in touch with your gut or instinct and really
Mhm,
being clear about what you want out of life. Because I find that
mhm.
it's not common to everyone.
Yes, that's a really good question. I want to define what is intuition versus the gut instinct, right? Our gut
Mm.
instinct, according to Gabor Mate, have said this, that it is actually connected to our brain. Our gut is connected to our brain, and it is the pre-programmed, conceived notions, pre-programmed belief system, that it's like an automatic response to a certain event or a certain reaction to a certain experience. Now, with our intuition is the expansive state of consciousness where you don't need to have a fearful stimuli, but it actually is more accurate when you deploy it in a state of neutrality. What do I mean by neutrality? It is in a state of your body where you're relaxed, where you're in a state of at ease, right? Like not in a stressful state. So when you are actually trying to inquire, what do you really want? I would invite someone to really find a space and have that solitude, create what that looks like, to find a space and time to be at ease, to be in a state of no distraction and really ask yourself this deep question of, what do I feel called to? What do I want? Like you said, right? And really
Mm.
listen and tune in to the voice in that quietness and notice how your body responds to it. If there is this like heightened nervous reaction,
Mm.
then most likely you're still in a fearful state. I would invite you to go in and really, let's say, for example, I would go in a meditative state. If someone doesn't have a meditative practice, maybe after you had a massage, like you just had a really relaxing moment. Or maybe when someone just had a really day off where you're by the beach walking is really a great practical way of just clearing. There's Dr. Joe Dispenza have said this, that walking is actually a meditation, and it is actually helping you to connect to the earth. So energetically you are being dissolved, like the energies, negative energies being dissolved through the earth. So in that moment of solitude, pay attention to your body and listen to your inner guidance. So there's two voices, like I mentioned. There's your intuition. Your intuition is thriving and accurate when you're in a loving state, when you're in a relaxed state, when you're in a neutral state. Now, there's the other voice, which is your ego, the ego that separates you, that I call it edging God out, that separates you
Mm.
to the essence inside you. So this voice is conditioned, it is pre-programmed by all of your core commitments or core beliefs. So notice those voice and disparities. And when you're in neutral state, the voice that would come up usually is your intuition. I love when I walk because that's where I know that I hear the voice of my intuition when I ask. And then notice
Mm.
how you look like you're having a self hypnosis, because as you walk, you just pay attention to your senses. Ground yourself to your hearing, your breath, your sight, your smell, your sense of touch. Perfect example is when I walk, I go in a rampage of appreciation. I would notice the sky. I would feel the air. I would close my eyes as I walk. And I would just really hear and listen to the cars, maybe the birds, maybe the ocean if you're by the ocean.
Mm.
And then I start asking inside, God, how can I serve you today? I would ask that, how can I be of the revelation of who you are? I would really tune into that. Or for someone who's really now in their journey, what's the next step for me?
Mm.
And sometimes your body would really respond, and it would say the first thing that would really come out to you, that is it. Listen to that when you're in that body state. That's your
Mm.
intuition. It's mostly accurate, 100%.
Mm.
But when you are in like a stressful mode, or like probably had like a really rough day, and then you ask yourself, or you just experience a very tough meeting, and then you
Mm.
wanted to decide, create a big decision out of that, I would invite you to sit in first, regulate your system, pause, slow down, really slow down. That's the whole thing, is to slow down and ground yourself with your senses.
Mm. As you were saying those things, I was writing down how I process my stuff because I don't meditate, and yet I'm not like anxious. I don't have those reactions. And so I
Mhm.
was trying to write down my process as the person who either doesn't meditate or doesn't know how to meditate. Because when I meditate, this is what I get, a blank screen. Nothing. Like people see light and I don't see nothing. And so I stopped trying to see something. Could be I'm not deep enough, or could be meditation is not for me. But then what I do to create that state in my life is I have no notification, no social media pings, no ringtones, no distractions, no people around. And if somebody comes up to me and tries to trigger me, I go, I'm not giving you my power. And I go into why. Am I being triggered by that person? What does that mean for me? And so what I find is that in doing that, I am in this mental state that is not chaotic. And so I can see clearly. And also before bed, I kind of ask the question, like, what answer am I looking for? What is it that I want to get? And so I will go like, I am trying to get an answer for this. And so for me, I'll say, this is what I am wanting to receive an answer for. And I will sleep. And in the morning, more than often, something will come like an answer. And if it doesn't come, it will come in form of people. People will show up with the answer. So like a guest will come with the answer, or answers will come from places I least expect. But I do have a clear question before I go to bed every day. But as far as meditation is concerned, I am not, I think, so good at that. But I calm my mind like that, and I would like to walk in green. So I generally live a quiet life. But I find that during the day, somehow answers come and I can see them because I have decided to take away the noise. So I guess that probably I don't know. I don't know if that's an equivalent of meditation or if it's just me coping. I don't know, but it works for me. But when I sit to meditate, I can, but I don't receive the things that people receive. I just get a blank screen and I'm like, okay, maybe it just has to be blank. What do you say to that?
That's a really good observation. And at the same time, all of that experience is your expression of your being. So usually in meditation, right, people think, oh, it's not working. I'm still thinking thoughts, which is very fascinating. With you, you have a blank space. That
Yeah.
is so good. It means there's a lot of space of possibilities where you can, like you said, receive the downloads, receive the
Mm.
message.
Mm.
Some people have a hard time to actually even realize that becoming awareness of the thought is already working. Becoming awareness of the thought, being discerned to which thought is actually they're being connected into is
Mm.
already working. And you saying that the next day you receive it through maybe music, maybe someone. I'm having goosebumps because that's how the world actually, oh, you're downloading it for me. Thank you. Because someone can absolutely give you the message, or maybe the person you just passed by, or
Mm.
maybe the book that you opened randomly, unconsciously,
Mm.
you're just being pulled towards this book that's on your shelf for like what, years now? And then all of a
Mm.
sudden, one day, because you ask, it is
Mm.
given, right? You ask and it
Mm.
is given. You just have to really be present. And the next thing you know, you open the book and it hits your soul. This is what I need. This is so
Mm.
authentic to me. I needed to hear
Mm.
this way. Even sometimes after just regulating your nervous system in the morning, so by slowing things down, you go into the social media and there's this one post of someone that
Mm.
you haven't probably connected or you don't even know that really sparked your soul. It's like, oh yeah, that's what I needed to hear. That's what I asked for. And then you had a
Mm.
creative inspiration. Notice those pings. Notice those
Mm.
intuitive pull, those when you are in the state of calm, again, right?
Mm.
Calm and present. Those are accurate pings of message, of internal pull or connection towards that. That's your intuition guiding you. Hey, this is what you needed to hear today. Let me send
Mm.
it to you where you are in the state of consciousness.
Wow.
So those are
Wow.
very valid. It can be expressed. Sometimes I had this like a very interesting morning where I was there's a difference between seeker to actually allowing and opening. And in that moment I
Mm.
was seeking. So when I was seeking, the more that I tried to control to seek the answer, the more that I couldn't really become present with it. So the more
Mm.
you look, the more you are coming from a space of scars that you don't have the answer, the
Mm.
more the message is not seen. Why? Because your body is just frantic. It's just on a desperate energy. So it matches
Mm.
that. that it's harder for you to become discern to which download message that you're receiving in that moment. So the whole
Mm,
key to this process of tuning into your intuition is to really slow down and ground yourself with your senses. Be in tune with your sense of hearing. Sometimes it comes from lyrics of music that you're listening in the morning. Sometimes
mm,
it could come from a movie that you thought all of a sudden. There's so many ways, right? So being grounded, being in tune with your body, being in a neutral state, and also listening and not really, when you question, that's your ego. When you question, when you doubt, that's the
mm,
fearful. So that's an opportunity to recalibrate. It's just like a
mm.
spur of moment where, oh, that's it.
It's though something that probably can't be taught. It has to be caught. But
Yes.
I have found that when you are still enough, you will begin to identify how your messages come, how you listen to whatever the higher calling you believe in. I have received messages from church. I have received messages from my guests here. Someone will come and say, "Have you read this book?" And I'm like, "You must be kidding me." You can
Yeah.
get downloads from random people, but
Yeah.
you really have to see it as worth it to quiet your world. Otherwise, I think
Yeah.
it can be also covered in noise and you won't be able to see it.
Yes.
Khrey,
Yes.
what did I leave out? What question haven't I asked? What topic haven't we touched that would be so key to the work you do that if we didn't touch it, this conversation would be incomplete?
That's a really good question. I believe you covered most of it and every part of it that is so important for a soul to hear.
Mm,
I would invite someone who's feeling called to do the work to, instead of feeling that, oh, it's a lot of work,
mm,
I would bring into this question to, what if you stay in the same energetic state that you were in? How
mm,
much work will you do even more if you didn't try? How would
mm,
that state that you're in would look like in the next 5 years or 3 years with you trying to
mm,
go against the flow of life?
mm,
Let you allow yourself to open to the possibilities of the contrast that you're experiencing right now and really
mm.
said yes to you more than saying no.
I love
So
what
just
you're saying. Yeah, carry on.
thank you.
I was going to say that I love where you're going because I had a speaker on who said, if you're wondering if you should do this or not, here's the right question. Could it get worse? Of course it would. And I want you to ask the question, how would my current state get worse? Like, don't even try to ask because it could get worse. So, like, think, what's
Mhm,
the worst case that could happen today if I keep doing what I'm
mhm.
doing? And then
Yes.
also think, could this actually get better? Could you start operating at 5D levels? And what would that look like? If you had to
Yeah.
paint a picture. And if you could not see yourself going 10 layers worse, then maybe the price to pay for staying where you are is more painful
Mhm.
than the price to go where you need to go. And if you are feeling a full body yes for Khrey, then you are. And if you're not, you're not. And that is okay. Ultimately, the biggest thing you can do for my work, for Khrey's work, is scroll in your phone and go, in whose hands would Khrey's information be life altering? And all you have to do is tap share it with them in their private space. And this is what I want you to say. I want you to say, I just thought about you after listening to this speaker. I listened to this episode or this podcast and I thought about you. And drop it in their space and let them be blessed by this. This is really a triangle. This work I do here is a triangle. And I want you to see how it works because I want to appreciate your work in this. This is a triangle, like three things. And so this is Khrey, or the expert with their gifts. This is Prima, who is translating the soul. And this is you, who is the vessel through which the message moves. And so we need both parts for this to work. We need the gift. We need Khrey to do her thing. I need to interpret this message correctly. And you, if you're listening to this, that means you're the chosen vessel for this message. It may not even be your message, but it may be a message for someone that is close to you. So if you've been chosen to listen to this episode, that is because you're being chosen as the vessel for the message. And so it could be your message, but it could also be someone that is so close to you that has a soul that is crying for this message, and that is why you are literally getting it. Khrey, I want you to go a little bit in the back end of your work and tell us what you have. How can we get involved with the work you do to support humanity?
Thank you. I want to say I was moved with what you just said there, with how thoughtful and intentional how you translate things into words. So I really appreciate that. I just want to let you know. But yes, if you're feeling called to work with me, I am very intentional because we co-create Vortex together. So I'd love for someone to book a connection call. So this connection call is free and it's 30 minutes for us to really check if we both vibrationally match together. It's an invitation to your soul to really tap in and go a little bit inch deeper and elevate yourself. I do one-on-one coaching, and right now I'm actually offering a special offer for 8 weeks and 12 weeks. And this is starting a week from now, and this offer ends within a week. So if ever you are here, or if this was published or you listened to this just now, I'm still offering you that exclusive offer if you heard it from Prima's podcast. And another one is actually I'm launching my membership program, which is on my birthday on September. So this one entails 3 tiers where you can access to this program called Core Essence, where we work through different energy centers of your body. And we do group coaching and have multiple holistic practitioners and experts that would come up in the group to guide you and help you elevate your consciousness, your body, mind, and spirit. This is coming up soon by September, and I'm really excited on that one. And if you are from the Bay or any chance that you come out here in California, I host retreats. And so subscribe on my email list. One that's coming up, I'm hosting a retreat in Mount Shasta, which is the root chakra of the earth. And I'm so excited. That is something that I am definitely going to do every year. And the last one was in the Philippines, in the private island. That's for 7 days. I collaborated with a yoga instructor. But this time around, this one is so essential. I feel like grounding is the key for someone who just really wanted to have that space and openness to connect with themselves. And Mount Shasta has always been my place and go-to. So that's something that I'm looking forward to. And what else? Also, if you want to tune into my podcast, just like Prima, I also have that. Um, I also have like free meditation for someone who's just starting. I infused Reiki in there. And one of the things that people who actually listen to it is it helps them to really ground themselves. Even if you're just playing it while you're cooking or you're probably doing your errands, it has an effect with you energetically because everything is energy and Reiki travels through distance. So I have that on my YouTube. Definitely going to send it to Prima for sure for you guys to enjoy and experience this energetic resonance that could help you at least shift something on your alignment. I believe that's it. Thank you so much for having me. It's such a lovely, lovely, lovely conversation. I love it. My heart is so full.
Thank you so much for pouring into us, for sharing your story, for sharing your gifts. and for bringing such beautiful energy to the platform. We really feel it. We appreciate it. We honor it. But especially the parts of it that we didn't get to experience, the parts behind the scenes, the sweat, the tears, all of those things that happened for you to be bringing this moment to us. We see that, we honor that, and we want to celebrate it as well. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All of the links that you need to access Khrey, a free call, I think that is one of them, podcasts, her social media, her YouTube, all of that will be in the show notes. But in the pinned comment, you're going to find out how you can have a chat with her. Because we can sit here and teach you all we want, but some of these things need to be caught. They can't be taught. And so some of these things you need hand-holding support to experience them yourself. Otherwise, it doesn't matter how much we speak. You may never experience the thing unless you get empowerment and get on your own journey. Khrey, we're getting to the end of it, and we would love for you to give us your parting words.
I would always invite this to everyone who's listening that it is possible. It is possible if you really tap into the freedom, the sense of free will to choose differently. Where you're right now doesn't define who you are. Where you want to be in the process helps you to become who you want it to be. And with all of the abundance of information, it is choosing you mostly will help you and guide you to a place where it would foster growth, love, and authenticity. So choosing love. And I want to bring this book, The Conversation with God. Love is the highest frequency, and love breeds tolerance. So I would invite someone to, what are you tolerating right now other than love? And if it isn't love, what are you living for?
Wow. I don't know if I have anything to add to that. There is 0D and there is 5D and there is 10D. I don't know how many Ds are there, but they're all accessible to us. I am personally trying to move through these Ds to understand them and get my fullest expression. I have been at 0D. I come from Uganda, so this is like if you came to Uganda and talked about this, it would be an equivalent of witchcraft. I don't know if you guys understand witchcraft or if you don't, but if you came to Uganda and started telling somebody about Reiki and all of these things and energy, they'll be like, okay, you need prayer. You need divine intervention because this is not a thing here. There's no awareness of this. And so if there is a negative D, I have been to that. And if I can, from all of my programming and everything, come to a place of really accepting that all these Ds are available to me as well, and I'm trying to tap into them, you sure can. All the feelings of joy, of love, of peace, of connection, they're available to us all. But it takes intentionality to tap into them. And so this is really a conscious journey. It's a conscious path. And you can travel the path or you can stay in the known path. At this point, really, it's just a nudge. And it is your soul saying, I want to be here, if you feel what you're feeling. But again, the soul can tell you, but it's not going to compete for oxygen with you. If you choose not to follow the path, that's fine. But if you choose to answer and get on the journey, there is every help possible on this podcast. And so whether it's Khrey or another expert, just scroll through the podcast, look at the titles. I take a lot of time to come up with those titles because they have to come to me. Like I have to think through the conversation And sometimes I have to ask the speaker, like, what is the word that sums up our conversation? So these topics are chosen with a lot of feeling in them and a lot of surrender to them. And so if you're seeing the topics, that's because that's what's showing up for me when I put them up. And my hope is that it represents the truth of what is in your heart or what you're searching for. So scroll through the podcast and look at the topics and see if any of those spark something on your heart, and watch that. Because every podcast that we have produced has been produced because there's a cry in the world for that answer. And only you know the cry on your heart. And so allow yourself to scroll through and find the answer. Other than that, I really want to celebrate you for being part of this triangle, for being part of the work, for being the transporter of this message. But as always, please grab your app, rate, review, subscribe, rate, I don't know, comment, all the things that you can do to spread the word, because it goes a long, long way. Have a beautiful day, and I will catch you soon. That is it, my friend. To listen to more exclusive interviews like this one, simply go to the world's best kept secret podcast.com and select interviews based on preferred topic.